tell me when to shut up sometimes. So.
No, that's
Oh,
fine.
hey, don't we need the recording bot in here?
Well, I have the stream bot and we're live right now, so you can just
Yeah, but does that put the podcast on Spotify?
yes. So
Okay.
what I've been doing is that since I compress and like kind of do the processing on the audio like as we're live streaming, then we just take the video off of Facebook and convert it into audio and just put it on Spotify and all that. That's what we've been doing.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we got it covered.
Cool.
So yeah, we're actually live right now. Today we are here with Mr. Shoestring Therapy,
Also known as
Mister.
Sean.
also known as Shad.
Everyone works.
Sean with an E. Sane.
Yes, sir.
This is episode 17. He makes music and stuff.
From what I've heard, yeah, that's kind of that about sums it up, I guess.
Where'd the name come from? Shoestring Therapy.
I always love that question because it's kind of hard, to explain that, when you can't really afford therapy and music's the only therapy you have and you're on a shoestring budget, the name kind of just makes itself.
Ah,
Yeah.
I love that.
That wasn't hard at all. You lied.
I've been working on simplifying it. I could have gone on for like 3 paragraphs, so I decided just to keep it simple.
I want the deleted scenes. This is the special edition DVD podcast, so deleted scenes of that.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Okay. No deleted scenes.
Wait, where are you from?
Oh, Tampa, Florida.
Tampa,
I'm in
Florida.
Austin also, so I go back and forth a lot.
Dang, we got people all over the place.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having a Discord chat channel. You
I love trying
really
to
aren't
set
limiting
up-
your guests.
You gotta love trying to set up the times with everyone. Like, okay, we go on at this time. All right, that sounds good. It's actually like like nighttime where you're at. Oh, okay.
I know it's really hard. Like, oh my god. Sorry, my roommate's making a lot of noise for some reason. He's watching
Oh,
Linus.
his voice sounds like mine.
He's watching Linus Tech
That's what
Tips like
roommates
super
do.
loud. No, he's just watching Linus Tech Tips. Dude, shut the fuck up! Oh my god! I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
And it wouldn't be a proper roommate if they weren't loud as shit.
Yeah,
all
I
the
just
time.
drank an entire bottle of wine like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, so we're being professionals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Professionals, you guys really should have told me that like an hour ago, because I'm way in.
Good.
What are you way into?
Bottle of rum, very cheap.
Oh, excellent.
Some
Tell us
Diet
about your
Coke.
drinking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's dive right into
Let's dive
alcohol
right into
usage
the-
in our
to
ordinary
the behind
lives.
the music, the behind the music special on Shoestring Therapy, in the low years.
Well, on that note, what I noticed listening to Redux and checking out some of your YouTube videos is there's a lot of ambition. You've got like this grandstand that you're like taking, and why don't you talk more about the big vision of yeah.
I try to make every album just a little bit different. I think everyone does. Whenever you're making an album, you go into it and you look at it as a whole. You don't look at it as track by track. You can, but for an album, you want what's going to be the collective sound of it. And with my previous album, Headcanon, it was more of that. Each song kind of individually started and ended itself, but I've been trying to get more into filling in frequencies with Redux and trying to fill in those empty spaces. So instead of going for minimalistic, kind of like
Something more baroque.
Right, yeah, more guitars, definitely more synthesizer and stuff. And it's really just something to try, and that's why I kind of gave it a soft release. I didn't announce it as big as the last one because it's a very big change from my usual style. So I wanted people to go. I didn't want to just throw it at them like, what the fuck is this?
Well, how big did you go promoting the stuff before that?
For that,
When
it
you
was
go
my
hard,
first.
what does that mean?
Man, it means that you basically like live on the internet, and it's a pain in the ass, man. Marketing.
You get on
you know
Omegle and
this.
like random chat with people and be like, "Hey, check out my new album."
Yeah, no. You gotta. Well, doing a podcast and all. To get anyone to pay attention in 2018, where everyone's got a voice, and the internet is just such a loud place. You have to just you have to annoy the living shit out of people. It's the only way they'll ever pay attention. And even if they don't like you, even if they hear you and they go, well, then at least they've heard of you. And
Yeah,
that's really what matters.
Threaten.
I try to be as annoying as possible.
Taking notes here.
Yeah.
Well,
People will
y'all
remember
hear
you. They'll
about
be like, man, that annoyed
Jared Threaten? I know this is a little bit old news now, but a couple weeks ago there was a guy, a metal musician, who drummed up enough like fake support accounts and profiles and things like that, so that he could convince a European tour person to put him on their tour, and like assuming that there was an internet following, but there was no internet following, and that's when he got caught. And that's when people were like, oh wow, this faker is interesting, and his music's like got 1.75 million views since the last heard of it.
He tried to tour and do shows in like these big places and no one showed up. He was basically self-promoting and just throwing money into this thing, hoping that that would create his career. And I think I did. I looked up some of his music and watched the video where he's kind of playing around with the mirror and stuff. And while he's talented, but I think he needs to work with others. I think that's usually a lot of people's problems, is they get so stuck in their own style of writing and doing their own thing that they get stuck in their own world of that they're the next big thing. And you need people around you to give you constructive criticism. If you don't have that, you just end up making an album that sounds, exactly what you think an album should sound like, and that's not always the best. That's not always the best thing. I found that out.
Is this a cautionary tale from your own life?
I hate talking bad about any musician, honestly, and I really, anyone who's pushing himself and trying and working hard, like I'm not going to judge you. I think that's great. But yeah, if you can't take constructive criticism, if you have a hard time having anyone tell you, this isn't great, this needs work, then music is definitely going to beat you down.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of all about, hey, here's this thing, I hope it makes you feel some kind of way, and if it's the wrong kind of way, I fucked up.
When I used to originally back when Reddit was probably pretty new, yeah, and I would post my albums on there and stuff, and that was just probably the worst idea ever, because you don't get constructive criticism through Reddit. It's like trying to get constructive criticism through like YouTube or Yahoo or something. It's just, that sucks. Oh, thanks, that makes my day. I'm gonna go lay down and think about that one guy on the internet who really disliked my album, But it makes you stronger.
What you need to do is just like fire back like some angry bullshit and stop thinking about it after.
Oh man, yeah, no, I don't want to get into any flame wars with people. That's exhausting.
Flame
arguing
wars
with some
are the new beef.
13-year-old online who telling me my music sucks. Like, thanks, dude. Oh, it's terrible rum.
What brand is it?
Like, I don't even think that's a.
Just the bottle just say rum on it. It just says rum in big letters.
Like, the trick is to walk into the liquor store and just look at the bottom. Yeah,
it's in Comic Sans.
Bottom shelf.
Wait, so what's your ideal sandwich?
Oh, we're going here already.
Is that a normal question?
We ask every guest that.
Long-running joke.
Sandwich, man. Okay, definitely a Cuban, a pressed Cuban, dude. Like, I have to be a little high, but yeah, that's it.
That's solid.
Wow.
I think so. It's quick and to the point. I'm not gonna list ingredients.
never had like an actual name of a sandwich like that on here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
People always, just like you said, they list ingredients.
They're like, I don't know, roast beef. And...
a little bit of mustard, not too much. It has to be Dijon or that shit can fuck off.
Turkey, I guess. So what song on Redux was the most challenging? Like, what gave you...
Alright, so a lot of the songs on that album, leading into what you're asking, a lot of the songs on that album were original recordings I had done probably like 3 years ago. And I wasn't as good at mixing. I didn't understand frequencies really the way I've come to now. And I
In what way did that manifest?
And error over and over, listening to something and going, why is this simple thing hurting my ears? Why is this compressor messing with me? I stopped using compressors completely. I don't even touch them. I'll use limiters.
That's
but I will
just
not
a heavier
compress
duty
anything.
compressor.
For
less
vocals.
options.
Yeah, well, for vocals or something where you're having a lot of really loud moments or soft moments, it works for that. But no, on nothing else do I ever use a compressor. On to the question that you asked. Probably the most challenging was the song DFD, Demon Fever Dream. It was the second song after the intro, and it was because I had to just go through and look at the mess I had created a few years ago. And nothing really shoots down your confidence, like going on and like opening the program and looking at your DAW and looking at how you laid everything out and going, oh my god, did a stupid child with like a crayon like make this? This is horrible. I had to go back through and just delete every single effect and VST I added and just start from scratch with it, rename everything. And that actually takes longer than actually making a song from scratch. I find that probably took me an extra 5 hours of work just to backwards it all.
Well, I think
True.
a lot of that process is just getting back to the space you were in when you wrote the song and you truly understood it.
Well, you can overprocess something simply because you're sitting there for hours, and I think we all know what dead ear is. When you're
Ear fatigue.
working, yeah, ear fatigue, man, and you're just working and working, and the next day you listen to that thing you mixed, and you're like, God, wow, it sounds like I'm listening to this in a vacuum, and that's really what I tried to pull away from.
The term I always heard for what you get is the swirling vortex of shit. Because you're listening to it for a while and you think like, this needs to be beefier in this specific way. So you boost a little there, and then you boost a little there because you've been listening to it for a while and you get dead to it. And then you come back to it later, and then you have the swirling vortex of shit.
Best thing you can do when you see that moment coming, because I think everyone sees it coming and they keep trying to compensate and fix little things, is to completely back up. Like, all right, let's start removing things instead of adding things and see if that helps. Because chances are that's what's going to work. Yeah.
I've definitely experienced exactly what you're talking about, where you open an old project and the signal chain is just like, why does this go through 3 limiters and then to a reverb send, which goes through a limiter and a bit crusher and then another limiter? What the fuck?
It used to be my way of solving problems. Like, I'd throw it through the limiter just to get the vocals even, and then I would throw it through like a distortion because I like that old gritty distortion sound vocal. But then I throw it through, but then I throw it through another limiter, thinking, well, I got to get rid of the peaks in that distortion instead of just maybe opening an EQ and just actually working with it. No, I'm just gonna throw another limiter on it. That'll fix my problems. That'll solve it.
And you start taking out the effects in between the limiters, and you're left with just limiters going into limiters.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
I mean, I like the idea of leaving like the guitars uncompressed.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess when it comes to drums and maybe bass, sometimes some compression can really help because you can then hear the plucking of the bass string, or you can really hear the undertones of a drum set. But yeah, guitar, I really never found a real reason to compress it. Any sound you want, you can generally get during the initial setup when you're setting your distortion and getting everything.
Just the way you play
you
and
want it.
everything, yeah. But like, yeah, with like the snare drum or something, it's always like cook, like you need to like have something there, It's like...
Snare drum is always the biggest pain in the ass. You can do cymbals in like no time, and bass drum and maybe the tom, but snare to get that perfect sound with it just takes forever.
Like a bad snare can ruin the entire song or whatever. Like
Every time.
Like if you listen to like Saint Anger by Metallica.
Why'd you have to bring up that album?
Because there is a whole movie about it. It's a cultural phenomenon. Trash.
Oh yeah, cultural phenomenon. They played at a prison. Yeah. No, I mean that album.
Did you see the movie?
I didn't see the
Kind
movie.
of Monster? I gotta recommend the movie to anyone who has even like the faintest interest in like a band that's too big for themselves, exposing themselves and all of the stupid bullshit they're doing. It feels exactly like watching Metalocalypse.
few of the like documentaries at the time, and like the guy who's the guitarist, who's the lead guitarist,
Kirk Hammett.
Yeah, and he was just so angry that he didn't get to solo anymore. He's like, "You're taking away my thing. It's my thing. It's what I do."
I like wah pedals.
He was, he was so upset.
Dude, I could make fun of Metallica all fucking day, dude.
There was a great discussion in the movie where they talk about the decision to have solos or not. and they're like, we can't have solos because that would be dated. And I forget his name. The guy you were just talking about was saying how, but that's going to make it dated to this period where solos are considered dated and not cool. And we all know how it won out on the recording.
Like all the previous Metallica albums coming up, they always had a very, they always had a flow. There was always that long solo he did in like every song. I'm not saying you should solo in every song, but taking away solos completely from an album and going for more of a, I'd say a thrash metal sound like they did with that album, it was bold, and it's either a love it or hate it album. Some people like swear by that album, that's the greatest Metallica album of all time, and others laugh and I'm like, what are you talking about?
It definitely sounded like trash.
Yeah.
It sounded like the snare was broken and they just kept going. But it's not an accident.
Oh yeah, well it wasn't like there was any ghost beats or anything. The whole thing was just slams. It was just this snare, slam, 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 the whole time.
And with no chain.
I'm dying.
For everyone who hasn't listened to this, I'm sorry.
I can't play it on the stream.
You
I'm
don't know
sorry.
Saint Anger.
I don't think I've listened to it.
I would play it, but you know what happened to Napster.
Yeah.
Got bought out by the big companies and
You know, they got
died
sued.
in
They got
obscurity
sued by
as it
Metallica.
sold out.
No, I'm pretty sure the thing that most surprised me when I listened to that album was, because I remember the first time hearing it, was that I didn't even know the track had changed, because every track on that album sounded just like heavy, like you couldn't tell when one song ended and another one began. And
That's
yeah,
slow.
Yeah. Like some people, like I said, some people that's their album of choice from Metallica. But yeah, you know.
So what is your album of choice lately to listen to?
Man, album. I would say of this year. What is it called off the top of my head? It's the new Inner Shikari album. Do you know what Inner Shikari is?
No. Explain what they are.
Okay, they're very big in Europe, and it's really where I started getting a lot of ideas for the sound I want to try. They're really good at filling in all those frequencies. They're really good at, you know, the blank spots that you wouldn't notice in a song. They're good at filling those in with that perfect bit of synthesizer or that bit of organ. And they've been around. They used to be, I guess, more of a screamo band, probably 15 years ago. But now I would say they're more like a stadium rock, almost like a heavier version of U2. And yeah, they're very impressive. And honestly, whenever I think of those kind of bands, I like to think back to the first time I heard of, back in probably 1998, 97, when I first heard the album Enema of the State. And it was a Blink-182 album. Now, people have their feelings on Blink, you know, love them, sell out, hate them, whatever. But it was the first time I heard an album and I went,
Great song.
yeah, but that album sounded so full. And it always drove me crazy, probably for years. I was like, how did they get the album to sound so full? Every other pop punk or punk album you had heard up to that point sounded very raw, but this sounded clean. And I went back and I started really listening with some very good headphones, and I saw that they were able to use things like synthesizer and organ and stuff and add them in a way that you didn't even really know they were there. They were almost laying under the guitars. But by doing that, because organ is really good at filling out frequencies, it's good at high frequencies, mids and lows, and it really brings out everything. It'll make a chorus pop, but you won't be able to tell the organ's there if you do it real low. Just hold like a single note maybe throughout the entire time, and that's kind of what a lot of the like Inner Shikari does. It's a lot of undertones that you don't hear. If you have some really good headphones, you'll start noticing it. But you know, besides that, yeah, it's interesting. It's a whole other ball field to look into, and it's absolutely exhausting to try to learn how to do.
On Blink-182, how important do you think it is that their vocal production was to their sound?
Watch a lot of the DVDs, you know, of Mark and Tom going through the process of trying to sing. These guys really weren't vocalists. Mark had the hardest time hitting highs. You can always tell when you listen to the song "Damn It" that he just could not do it without like squealing. So he started taking the lower sound and Tom started taking the higher sound. Now with Tom's voice, you always hear a lot of chorus added to it, a lot of chorus effect, which is great. Chorus does really bring out the sound.
I thought what I was mostly hearing was multi-tracking. I thought that was like the key to the
Absolutely,
Blink-182
Mark uses
sound.
multi-track all the time. In fact, actually, no, Tom does too. You're right. Yeah,
It's
no,
like-
you're absolutely right.
They do a really good job doing about the exact same vocal performance over and over again, so that they get that thick, slightly metallic sound that also is just like really like full and present.
Yeah, it was, and it's funny that you mentioned that because that was almost a technique you heard of probably pre-Blink, like going back even the Doors with Jim Morrison stuff. He would do that, and you could tell he was doing it because he wasn't a very good singer. So he would just sing over himself over and over again until like everything kind of evened out where he messed up. Yeah, yeah.
That was
It's a lot more
also
clean
like
cut.
the way the '80s metal bands all did it. If you want that
Yeah.
"Here I Am, Rocky Like a Hurricane" sound, you record about 200 overdubs.
Yeah, do some Twisted Sister or something. Yeah.
Only understand.
But yeah, I could literally just talk for hours. I do a YouTube channel where I try to go into a lot of music history and stuff, and I'll sit there, I'll talk for like 2 hours about music history, and then I have to try to cut it down to like 15 minutes because I'm terrible at video editing.
I watched
And
that.
I
watched a couple of those, and I feel like I can tell that's sort of the process, because you have one about what made the '90s sound '90s, and I don't think you
yeah.
answered that question.
I'll drift off. I'll start naming bands of genres and sounds, and then by the end I'll find, you know what, I have no damn answer. I have no idea why the 90s sounded the way it did. Noticed that Chumbawamba was a thing then, and it can't be now. You noticed that Blue, Dabba Dee Dabba, whatever, could work then, but if it came out now, people would be genuinely confused.
I don't know how true that is, because like Baby Shark was a weird viral phenomenon.
Okay, alright, yeah.
You can also have things like, this was a few years ago now, it's not the most relevant example, but there's the Rihanna song Cake, that's just like cake, 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 cake. And there's another one, I think this is a little bit more recent, which is Drop That Kitty to the Floor, and that's just like the only line, and they keep repeating it. And that kind of simplicity, or Turn Down for What, is another good example of something that was massively popular and utterly simple and a little bit silly. Like, I think that's still what people like. It's just can't do it as a rock image anymore, because the idea of like a group of guys with musical instruments isn't as cool as a big club party or whatever.
No, I don't think in a rock atmosphere that works, but for pop or club scene, yeah, absolutely. Repeat it till it gets stuck in their heads. If it's stuck in their heads, they're gonna go home and download it, so they need to hear it again. Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa,
Yeah.
just blew my mind.
Hooks.
I'm gonna download Turn Down for What now?
Turn down.
I'm gonna download it right now on Napster.
After, man.
Okay, man.
No, you remember
Did
Li-
you know that every time you download a song on Napster, it steals a little bit of the artist's soul?
Do you remember the LimeWire?
Oh yeah, dude. No, I
course I
remember
do.
Napster and by extension LimeWire. Like any song that was a comedy song that you downloaded that was like they all said Weird Al. Like even if it wasn't Weird Al, if you downloaded on Napster and it was a comedy song.
Yeah, there were like bare naked
The
lady
artist
songs that
was
were
weird.
called Weird Al songs.
Yeah.
I miss the internet where people could get away with whatever they wanted and no one cared.
Yeah.
I mean,
Those were the days.
yeah. It's and I talk about this a lot in my YouTube videos. It's the market is so oversaturated. We live in a day where everyone gets their 5 minutes of fame. It's so constant, and no one's remembered very long. And if you are, you're very lucky. I think probably around 2005 to 2010, you still had those times, where you discovered that band, knew about yet and stuff. And it's still possible, but with what YouTube's become,
You still
especially,
can't discover that band. That's what this podcast is all about, unknown artists.
Hey man, I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can.
We're here bringing the new music to you. You're not the masses. You're onto the new shit.
Yo, yeah, dude. No, I don't think I could handle being the masses. Like, I got anxiety, man. That sounds exhausting. I just
People
wanna
following
make
you around all the
music and-
time.
Could you
Have you
imagine?
ever
You follow yourself around all the time.
Shave
you
your
need to
head
be
all
like on
Britney
Instagram, documenting your life. You're not just documenting your life, but like amping it up a little bit to make it a little bit more like, ooh, I want to be there and wonder more about what they're doing.
I think that's what a lot of people do on Instagram, though. Like, but yeah, no, it'd be great if you like pretended like you didn't know that it was you. Like, you start filming and you kind of look at the camera like, oh, hey, what's up? Hey, I didn't see you there. Like, just talk to Instagram.
What's up? I didn't see you there. Welcome to the tutorial for this company or whatever.
Have you ever performed in front of people before?
And I haven't in a few years, but that's generally what I spent since, 2005 to 2012. That's all I did. Because I tried to attack music from a different side, but like I said, things have changed, and it's more about the internet now than ever before. Back then, yeah, I would do the Transitions Art Gallery and some of the other big places in Tampa, and I would try to make a regular of myself, and also keeping at least 4 members together, working together, showing up on time to practice, showing up to the studio. It is so hard when it's just you making the music. It's so much easier because you don't have to, oh man, where the hell is Tim? Dude, he's probably drunk. Yeah, he's not answering his cell phone. All right, so we'll play, but we can't play any of the lead parts. That kind of thing. But yeah, I spent years doing the performing in front of people, and honestly, it helped me with anxiety when I was a lot younger. Because I used to get terrible stage fright. And that I think any band, any musician needs to play in front of people at least a few times just to get that feeling. It's important.
And if you don't, you get threatened.
Yeah.
He's so threatened by the possibility others will hear him. And yet, that's all he needs. That's all
I'm thinking about it now, and that guy, it worked. Everyone now, you know who he is. I know who he is. So whatever he did, it worked.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's why I introduced him, or introduced the idea of it.
Yeah,
this was an effective thing that happened. A little razzle dazzle, a little what you were saying, having to be annoying to stand up above the sea of noise to bring it back around to where we were starting.
Every time I push myself on Facebook or Instagram or something, I know those people I used to know in high school are just looking at it going, oh, this freaking douchebag again. Like, let's see.
Dude, same, dude. Same.
Face in my face like he was back in 2005. Just now he's doing it on the internet. It's like, yeah. But that's the game. I mean, if you don't, yeah, no one's gonna hear your music.
Just show it to your friends and family first.
Friends
Stop
can be
there.
bigger
You can
jerks.
be satisfied with it in a really personal way. Just like Bo Burnham said too at the end of Make Happy.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, you can make music for yourself. I think like you release 10 songs on an album, you probably have 100 songs you're never gonna show anyone recorded that you just you were like, no, these aren't good.
You'd
These are
think
staying
that,
with
but
me.
I've talked to a lot of people, and they're like, I wrote 8 songs, so 8 songs are going on the album.
Depends on probably
So
how
that's
you
like
write
not-
music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, they can just sit down and write a song, and maybe this will be good, maybe not. But other people, they can't write a song unless they're really confident it's going to be good. They're
Okay.
self-editing before they even get to that point. And I think that, doesn't really help that well, but it's still how a lot of people are able to function and get there.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. My thing is, if I wake up 3 days after I wrote and recorded it and it's still in my head and I can't get it out of my head, I assume, because I'm still at this point the only one that's heard it, that it's going to be something that other people want to hear. Because, yeah, if you just release everything you write, at least if I did that, yeah, I write 10 bad songs for every one good song, every time.
It's like hitting baseball.
Yeah, man, don't stop swinging.
I get a lot of foul balls, honestly.
I hit a lot of balls that are exactly the same as the other balls.
I don't write music.
Yeah. You should try, though.
Do it.
If we all had to give Andrew one piece of advice, Andrew being representative of everyone who's a little interested in starting music, what would we say?
Oh, man.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Oh man. Yeah, okay, so at first you can't care what anyone thinks, and if you show it to someone they say you suck, you're gonna stop. So just don't do that. Just keep it to yourself for years. Let it boil up inside of you, and then release it all at once one night when you're really drunk and your inhibitions are very low and you don't care what anyone thinks. And then in the morning when you wake up in a sweaty panic, then it's already too late. Everyone's already heard it. I know it's terrible advice. It's absolutely terrible. Don't
Well,
do that.
I mean, if you don't develop an alcohol dependency for your
I like
emotions,
it.
how can you be in a pop punk band?
No, I think it's part of the ritual, dude. But
Where would
when
Pup be if they weren't falling asleep? I mean, not falling asleep, but passing out instead of falling asleep.
Well, dude, I found it interesting because I started when I was doing a lot of that music history research. I looked at a DVD by Queen. It was their live DVD from probably the late '80s, right before he got diagnosed, Freddie. And I couldn't get over the fact that he was sitting there pounding beer after beer after beer on stage. This is like a 3-hour set, and he is just pounding back, like Rolling Rocks or something. And I later found out beer in those cans. It was just water, and it was for the image. It was the image. It was all about the image. I thought that was pure genius.
That is
Wow.
genius.
I would have just drank the beer, honestly.
Oh,
Yeah,
See, that's why we're back here and Queen is all the way up there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no.
We're thinking like, beer tastes good, and they're thinking like, beer makes you cool.
It does.
Water makes you good.
Smoking looks really cool. Like honestly.
Oh man,
Sounds
yeah, but
fun.
Especially in
does?
slow motion.
dude, dragging a cigarette, hanging out at the pool hall or something, you look cool as hell. I had to quit. But yeah, man, years ago when I played shows, it was part of the scene. You were in a band, you smoked cigarettes. But it's horrible on your voice. It's terrible.
I
Don't
bet.
do it if you want to sing.
Or do anything that involves using your lungs.
Yeah, really, just don't do it. How about that? Like, just don't smoke. Just don't. It's terrible, and you can quit over and over, and you'll just keep coming back to it. I mean, unless you're the kind of guy who they like that squealy. I knew musicians that they couldn't get the same sound out of their voice unless they smoked. They were like the gravelly screamo singers back in the day.
Well, you
Like
don't
a pack.
like if you have the right technique, you don't really need that. But I mean,
Technique
you mean, like,
can
not inhaling?
overcome anything.
yeah, that's true.
That's yeah.
And also
Like that's why you don't need compressors. You can also not need cigarettes just by being really good at guitar.
you're right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Compressors are a cheap fix, man. I think that they do have their use, but you'll see in a lot of, especially EDM and stuff these days, they'll do a lot of ducking. And it's
yeah.
just complete overuse of compression. And I think it's just the easy way to cover up the fact that you don't know how to use an equalizer. That's just my own personal opinion.
That's not why you use ducking. Ducking is to add rhythm to the volume movement of the song. It's to make the kick seem bigger and the upbeat seem a little smaller, so you get more of a beat-focused effect.
It can
And
come off
it's not
as so
always done
strong.
well.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's meant to be gigantic.
Saying compressors in general are used as a quick fix tool for all right, you get done at the studio, you're on the car ride home, you want something to listen to, but the guy mixing your album, he hasn't had time to actually do any real mixing to it, but these guys want something. He throws a bunch of compressors on it so you have something you can listen to really loud in the car. That's the kind of fix I'm talking about.
Whoa.
Volume wars.
Loud.
I don't know. Like I feel like when I'm trying to mix something like with acoustic guitars or like rock music, it's not. I don't have to use as much compression, but if I'm trying to do like heavy metal or something, that's when people start to overuse compression a lot.
That kind of, compression really can work in metal, especially like I was saying with the bass guitar and especially on the bass drum,
I know, because a lot of
compression-
times, when I listen to metal music, they quad track the guitars and shit like that, so they have to figure out some way
Yeah.
to fit everything in there.
a lot of people, especially with guitars, I think, and I'm guilty of it too. They try to get that stereo split sound where the guitar is slightly off time in the other ear, as opposed to whichever the dominant side the guitar is on. And it's an old technique. The best way to do it is to double record the guitar, but it's the lazy way of doing it. And yeah, I'm even guilty of it, so I won't complain.
Why record things multiple times when you can use a delay effect?
Right.
This is brought to you by an effects pedal company.
Sounds like ass. Sounds like
Thanks,
ass.com.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for like a really random question that's completely off topic?
Which one was really on topic? So yeah.
All right. So, if you were challenged to a duel, what would be your weapons of choice?
Your weapons of choice in a
That's
duel.
so good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Alex
Like
just
I
has this-
like. It is such a good question because there's like only like one good choice. That is the gun. Like I mean, unless you like it's like, why would you There's a saying you won't bring a blank to a gunfight. Like I don't understand the. Man, no, I got nothing good on that one. Yo-yos.
Yo-yos?
Just
Hell
like
yeah.
just yo-yos, man, with a really long string, because
Those
you
like
hit 'em, and if
metal,
you're really
like
good, you can
those
pull
like
it back.
stainless steel competition yo-yos would probably really hurt if you hit someone in the face with them.
Or those popular yo-yos back in the '90s that would like, where like they had the ball bearings in them and stuff, so like they made themselves like pull them back up and stuff.
Yeah, there's like
Everyone felt really
competition,
cool.
like there's like yo-yo competitions and shit. Like trying to make
Some
it like a
people, like,
sport.
Yeah, that's some people. That's their life, man. Like yo-yos.
Yo.
Music is other people's lives, so I can't judge. So yeah, my final answer: yo-yos. Sticking to it.
Alright.
What about a boomerang?
Yeah, see, yeah, boomerang. You get one good.
No,
you get
because
one
that's
good
just
shot.
gonna hit you.
I feel like if you get good at a boomerang, you must have like the most patience of any person in the world, because there's no way I'm gonna fail at throwing something and it not coming back that many times and have to walk after it like a jackass. I'm just not
Bring
gonna
your
do
dog
it.
with you.
Go get it. I suck. Go get it. Bring it back till I don't suck.
So yeah, we already said the sandwich thing. No, like,
Dual thing, man.
Oh, what about the
What's
would you
your
rather
ideal
question?
restaurant? If you had a restaurant.
Restaurant, yeah. What are those? What are those? I'm poor, man. I got money for. Darn, I've heard of that one before. That's a place. No, I'm just kidding. If I was back in Austin, I'd have to give some really hipster answer. I'd have to give some answer of like some like place that's only been around for like a year. Yeah, that's the one. That place.
No,
is
this
so
is the
cool.
restaurant you get to create. This is like an expression of your personality in restaurant form.
And oh yeah, I mean it sounds pretty simplistic, but it would definitely have some kind of marijuana infused beer, and I guarantee it would get shut down because of people doing really stupid things. But that would definitely.
is marijuana infused beer a
Hard.
thing?
I would imagine by now, right? In like Colorado and
'Cause-
stuff, I'm sure some of them sell it.
Because I don't think like THC is water soluble. So I don't know how you like, how
Well,
would you do that?
that doesn't mean you
Coca-Cola.
can't still put like marijuana tea in the beer and like market the fact that it's made with weed, even though it
Right.
doesn't have any THC in it.
I was just
Right.
reading
You
that
can still
Coca-Cola
sell it,
has
and
a
people will
weed
still buy
product.
it.
Yeah.
So wait, how did we find you? Was it Reddit?
Yeah, I was Reddit.
Was
I found him on Reddit.
fortunately it was Reddit.
I
You
didn't
posted
even-
on r/songwriters, right?
Reddit is the one place they really frown upon self-promotion,
Why?
but I don't care. I do it anyway. So I'm glad I did, because you guys came about finding it, and it's awesome because I get to be here. So
I've done that on Reddit. I've like gone to like the guitar pedals subreddit and like shilled my pedals on there for like, and I just get like banned like half the time. I don't know.
I think the trick is to
They're like,
do it
"What are
in
you
a-
doing?"
You got to do it in a way that it doesn't. It comes off that it's like not you put like. You
Hey,
pretend like
I am
it's-
a completely random person, and I found this guitar pedal company, and I just want to tell you about them.
It's obvious, but maybe you won't get banned. Yeah.
Hey, I am a fan
Well,
of
you just make a
Shoestring
new
Therapy.
account each time, and they can ban that new account, and it's like, what are they going to do about starting a new account?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Nothing.
It's all about having sock puppets. That's the threatened way.
Oh my God.
We're disciples of Jared Threaten now.
No.
dude, seriously, like we're giving this guy like exposure right now. So like, it all.
We're all
works.
going to
It's
be
like,
lone wolves with armies of sock
"Ooh-ha-ha-ha-ha."
puppets that we control on our million burner phones.
Let's do a sock puppet
Yeah.
stream.
That's-
Like when we finally do our face reveals. Actually, my face is revealed right
Well,
now.
like
but,
do it like
Yeah.
the Kiss face reveal when they came out and showed their faces for the first time,
But
but
it's sock
instead
puppets.
sock puppets. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
It's like the opposite of a face reveal. We hide our faces for the first time.
I'm gonna set up my webcam or something. So next week, it's gonna be like in the corner of the stream, like me like building like guitar pedals or something while we're talking.
That's dope, actually. That's a really good idea.
yeah.
I miss Cameron.
But do you guys find a lot of the bands that you talk to on Reddit, or where do you usually find your bands?
I'm starting to use Reddit. I'm starting to look at the songwriters.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on Reddit.
Yeah, we've
it
lined
is.
up a lot of our future guests from r/songwriters, but our previous guests have come from people we've
Facebook.
known.
Or Facebook,
Or people we know.
or like I'll go to a show in Phoenix and I'll like see the band and I'll go up to them and be like, "Hey, do you want to be on a podcast?"
Well, you say that with that tone. What does that mean?
That's
You
what I
scare
say.
people are gonna be like,
Hey,
"Oh,
do you want to be on
podcast."
a podcast?
A podcast? What's that?
You wanna-
Why, it's the radio show of the future. That's what.
No, it's really
With a
easy.
cigar hanging
No,
out
it's
of your mouth.
It's actually super easy. Like, hey, do you want to talk about yourself for an hour? Sure. Like,
Oh, the one thing I know is musicians, 95% of them are narcissists. They would love, I do. I love talking about myself. Who doesn't, man?
of course.
Yeah, absolutely. An hour? Shoot. What's that?
It's like 20 minutes away from what we've done so far.
Sounds
So
like-
Sean, would you rather have every liquid in your life be Mountain Dew, from the shower to the toilet to anything you drink,
fucking killing me, man.
or
Okay.
have every song you hear, you sing, every song you hum, every song someone else hums, any song in a movie, any album is All Star by Smash Mouth?
Oh, it's either terrible music in every way, shape, and form for the rest of my life, or be sticky and grody and really unhealthy and with diabetes. You know what? I'll take the Smash Mouth. That's cool, man. I'll take the Smash Mouth.
So,
Greg Camp is an excellent songwriter, very underrated.
so I guess we're starting to have questions that we just ask all the guests, and that was one of them. And the
Yeah, we're
sandwich
gonna
thing.
be unoriginal like the IMA subreddit. We're gonna ask everyone if they would rather be like 100 duck-sized horses or beat up a horse the size of a duck.
But man, this is an original question that I came up with.
That was good, man. That was good.
That's a really good one.
Oh, it's a cliche. They always ask that, and I was wording it wrong.
All right. Do you have any questions, Sean?
For us.
How long? So how long have you've been making pedals and stuff, man? I was taking a look at your site, and it's I really like the designs on them, the artwork. I mean, it's pretty. I don't know. It just has that like kind of Scott Pilgrim feel to it. I mean, that's just.
Oh
my-
hell
my-
yeah, yeah! I love Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
About a
Love the
year.
pedals, man.
Like
How
a little
long you
over a
been doing it?
year.
All right.
I've been just gonna keep it going and see where things go.
Yeah. So like what have you made? Like this, I know I saw the delay, I think, and distortion, right? So what else have you done?
I've done like a fuzz, and I've done an overdrive, and I've done like a
Mhm.
clean boost pedal, which is what I sell the most of. And I'm working on like an analog delay right now. I think that's it right now. I'm actually building. Someone came up to me and wanted a custom like DI box made, so I'm working on that. So sometimes I get custom
What
orders.
bespoke features does it have?
Wait, what? The DI box?
Yeah, if it's custom.
It's just like a passive one-channel DI box. But
It's
it's
just exactly what that person needs.
but I'm building it like so it's like indestructible, you know? So that's like the
I
whole
used to
idea.
be really into pedals. I haven't used them as much lately because I got an orange micro dark.
Dude, I want one so
head-
bad, dude. Oh my god.
Good. And I haven't had a use for a distortion pedal because Orange, for some reason, they just get it right. In
Orange
their
is
heads.
amazing. All the Orange amps are hand wired. All of them.
It's a tube hybrid, which which blew my mind the first time I even heard the term before. So yeah, pretty freaking cool.
I was working on like a PV amp a couple days ago, and it was like a little like combo amp. I think it was like one of those like trans tube ones. I don't know if you heard of those. But I was really surprised because I opened it up and it had like an actual reverb tank in it, and I was like, "What the fuck is it?" Like, it didn't make any sense to me. It was like a solid state amp, and it just had like a reverb tank.
That's
I think
amazing.
I had my favorite. I think I had back in the day. It was a Dan Electro distortion pedal. I had recommended to me, and it took me forever to find. I think I had to order it from some specialty shop, and the tone on it was amazing. But it cost me out the ass, of course, at the time. But yeah,
There's some people
Dan Electro.
there's some people that prefer like amp distortion. It just depends on what you like to hear, you know.
Yeah.
All right, I got another random question, I guess. Let's see.
Oh no.
All right.
I love it, man.
Okay,
I love it.
Okay, which musical artist do you think is the most overrated?
Oh man, you guys are gonna get me in trouble. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna say something, and then like 10 years from now, someone's gonna come back and be like,
Why did
Who
you
let the
diss
dogs
Jared
out?
Threaten like that?
Why'd
You said who let
Why'd you
the
say
dogs
Jethro
out is the-
Tull sucks and they shouldn't have won the fucking Grammy?
It's like what? Oh man.
There's nothing funnier than how much Jethro Tull sucks.
Yeah,
And they don't
but
even
what-
suck that much. It's just a really hilarious amount.
Some story about him winning like some famous metal award or something.
Yeah,
Like,
it was like
back
it
in
wasn't
the
it a
day.
Grammy. It was like they used to have a heavy metal Grammy award. And they don't have it anymore, but they gave it to Jethro Tull. And like Metallica and like
Great, man.
Megadeth were in there too, and they're just like, here you go, Jethro Tull.
Oh man. Yeah.
Seems like you're doing something innovative with metal.
Oh yeah. Nah, man, overrated. Shoot. That's such a hard one. Oh man, I'd like to hear your opinion first, actually, on that. What would you say? It was a very overrated.
I know we were
very
talking about
overrated
Metallica
band.
before, but like the reason I don't like Metallica is because of how overrated they are.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Is Megadeth more overrated than Metallica?
I like
If you're
Megadeth.
that guy who hates Metallica, yeah.
I-
If you hate Metallica, you love Megadeth. That's
well,
how it
Metallica
works.
just like it seems like they just rip people off and they get away with it because they're Metallica.
Oh, that sounds like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
That's a
Led
good
Zeppelin
one,
might
actually,
be the
yeah.
most overrated band.
That's a good one.
They're most famous for
Man.
things they stole. They don't get enough shit for stealing things.
dude, we're gonna get so much.
But they
shit
made
right
it
now,
better.
dude.
Yeah, dude. It's a terrible.
They
line of
made it
questioning.
so you heard of it.
People get angry about their bands they like.
They do. That's the problem. It's why like every band, like I'm going through bands in my head, and I'm like, all right, I could say this. No, those fans are vicious. Like I've said that now in my head like 10 times.
Just say ICP
Oh.
sucks.
Say it.
Dude. Okay.
The 10 most
That is so
vicious
fair.
fan bases.
No,
Go.
he just said it. ICP, but no, ICP is not overrated because everyone fucking hates those.
I like ICP.
Yeah, I think
but,
they're
like,
actually pretty humble if you watch any of their shit.
I
Did
think
you
they're
see the video
hilarious. No,
Where
the
he
problem
bought
is
a fursuit for his daughter,
Oh, that was cool. That was actually really cool. Yeah.
right?
Cause she's really into that, and like he's like he doesn't care. He loves his daughter. Like so that was
He's-
pretty cool.
Yeah, like ICP is supportive dads who like edgy shit for their kids. It's really charming now.
well, ICP's hilarious and it's obviously a joke, but their fans don't understand that it's a joke, and they think like that's what I don't understand. That's what I don't get about their fans.
Yeah, no, dude. I live in Florida. I can tell you they don't know it's a joke. They do not. This is Juggalo like capital down here, dude. No, I mean if you didn't have ICP, you wouldn't have had like Twisted, and Twisted is so amazing at marketing every band that's under their label. So they've managed to build an empire off of like clown makeup and like just stereotypically bad hip hop. So respect, honestly, I guess at that point.
How do magnets work?
Magnets were.
Magnets are a miracle.
They're a
That's an easy one.
You see, the atoms are lined up properly. No, but look, I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
no, it's miracles. That's how they work.
That's a miracle.
Oh god.
Magic.
That was the point of the song. These are God's miracles. No one knows how they work.
Wait, so was that? What's your actual answer though?
Oh man, yeah, like I said, you're gonna get me in trouble, and then
Make
I did.
some
Okay,
enemy.
fine.
Yeah,
No,
you
fine.
have to get in trouble.
Fine. If we have to go this far, and I love the band. I love the band. Great band of all time. Simply put, Green Day. There, I said it.
I like Green Day's all right.
I like them too, but
Man.
damn.
I remember a time you hated Green Day, Alex.
I used to hate Green Day, but Dookie is all right. Dookie's a good album.
Okay.
I mentioned this in a video recently that they were already megastars, and you saw it. They were megastars in the '90s, and then they already had their super hits album way before they even had American Idiot, which broke records, and then the Bullet in the Bible tour, which broke the all-time record at the time for most attendees at a live performance in Europe. So these guys were
They
stars.
finally beat Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah, it's just amazing that they were able to outdo themselves over and over again. But at the same time, when they're constantly pushed in your face over and over for like 3 decades, you're just like, all right, man.
Yeah, but you know who got just as pushed in their face and aren't even half as good?
What's that?
Oasis.
Oh yeah, man. Well, they thought they were like God's creation, on Earth.
Yeah.
They thought they were the best thing to ever live. So
Like, it's the Beatles again. It's Oasis.
Oasis is Oasis's biggest fans. It's always been that way. Like, and the
yet
two
they're also their
brothers.
biggest enemies.
Those two brothers, man, I was watching Graham Norton, and one week they had on Liam, and then the next week they had on, I can't remember the other brother's name. They had on the other one, and yeah, it was like, this week we'll see what this brother thinks about the other one, and then this week, and it's been going on over there forever. So I guess in Europe people still care, and the fact that they have 3 chords in all their songs, and that's basically everything they ever did.
3 chords is all
So
you
yeah,
need.
that's a good
man.
one.
Yeah.
And especially in the '90s, man, three chords starting with G, you're set, man. Or E,
Wait,
if you're,
so
E if you're going for the
King of the Hill.
C, is it like D, G, E? Is that the only chords you need?
those are your 3 main, like.
No, it's C, G, and F.
I thought it was
Yeah.
B flat sus 5.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, it's been quite a pleasure to speak with you today.
It's been awesome, man.
Do you want to like
Thanks for
shill
having
your
me.
music one more time?
And I appreciate it. Yeah, please do.
So we're gonna put links to your Bandcamp, and then is there
Yeah,
anything
they-
else that we need to like?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, there's-
Spotify too, right?
There's this other one called Audio Mac, which apparently is a thing I've never heard of until like. Apparently, it's like the new up and coming. Like it's like poor man's SoundCloud. But yeah, it's like So SoundCloud,
SoundCloud is the
Bandcamp,
poor man's SoundCloud.
right?
I'm gonna become a SoundCloud rapper, and I'm gonna have myself as a guest on the show.
So what face? Here, I got a question. Then what face tattoos would you get if you had to get face tattoos?
I'd get an ice cream cone on my cheek
Okay, so you're going for that. You're going with the
because I want to be like Gucci Mane.
I would get
like
fuck
a
on
light
my
bulb.
forehead, and then like a skull on each of my cheeks.
Dang.
Nice.
going
Oh,
dark.
I wouldn't
profile.
honestly. I wouldn't get any face tattoos if given the opportunity. But if I had to,
You're
I
a
would put-
SoundCloud rapper. You got to like that's like in the handbook. Like step 1, make your face look like just a bad like.
make your face so you
drawing.
can't
And get
ever
some
get a
metal
job.
implanted in like the bits that hang off your face.
Yeah, and dye your hair like like a cotton candy machine exploded. Like that's it. Man.
All right, well, I think we're gonna wrap this up. Wait, do you have anything else coming up? Like, did your album just come out?
It literally just did, and right now I'm just concentrating on my YouTube series long album cuts for probably another couple weeks, and then January I'm heading up to North Florida to work with some other musicians, and I don't even know where that's gonna go. Probably a new album, but yeah, I'll get to that when I get to that.
Cool, man. All right, everyone, check out Shoestring Therapy.
Yes, sir.
Thanks again for coming on.
Shoestring,
Yeah, thanks,
like
brother.
a potato?
All right, that's
Good ending note.
Are you from Idaho?
No.
the fuck. I'm trying to end the live stream, but it's like frozen on my computer. What the
End.
fuck? Like, it's like not even letting me end the live stream.
Therapy.
What the fuck? Okay, hold on.
Man, 2 in 1
Idaho.
day.
Potato therapy? What?
I guess
Is that some kind of spa treatment they got for you yuppies?